Hello and welcome to another video here on Fionn Talks. So today I'm going to talk about The Prestige, which is definitely one of the best films I've seen. I saw it a few months ago, kind of developed the script, and now kind of just got around to recording this video, so let's get into it. So I think it's one of the best made films I've ever seen. It's principally a rivalry film about two magicians in Victorian London, kind of around turn of the 19th and the 20th century, maybe around 1899, stuff like that. Three adjectives I'd use: engaging, brutal, and focused. I think they are very accurate for this. So in terms of kind of the background for this film, how it came about, Christopher Nolan directed it. He co-wrote the screenplay with his brother Jonathan. It's based on a 1995 book by Christopher Priest. Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale are the two leads. It's a big time cast: Michael Caine, Scarlett Johansson, David Bowie. It's a really fantastic cast. Premiered October 2006. So Priest was impressed by Nolan, and Valerie Dean kind of brought the book to Nolan's attention. So that was kind of how they kind of came to communicate about this thing. Nolan really conducted a lot of research for the film to kind of make it look authentic, it really comes true. And it was filmed in Los Angeles. They found locations that looked like London around this time period back then. So again, to the plot summary, there will be spoilers, so yeah, get ready and exit if you haven't seen this thing. So follows rival magicians Robert Angier and Alfred Borden. The partnership kind of turns into a big time feud after a stage trick kills Angier's wife. And then they're both just battling in the world of Victorian London's magic scene. They are obsessed with creating the trick with 3 big stages. And yeah, that's kind of what they're doing. So Borden performs an impossible trick called the Transported Man. He appears to teleport across the stage. So Angier just becomes obsessed with this thing. He goes to Nikola Tesla, who builds him a machine that can duplicate anything placed inside it. So Angier has this machine and uses it, but each performance creates a clone of him. And this clone will fall into a tank and drown. So basically, it's revealed at the end that Angier just gone mad, and it's just every time he does Transported Man, he's killing another exact clone of himself, and he's just gone crazy in pursuit of Alfred Borden. And then we also discover that Fallon, who was the character who was kind of assistant of Borden, is actually 2 twins living a life. One's Fallon, one's Borden. They call it alternate. And yeah, we'll get more into that. So in the climax, Angier frames Borden for the murder of one of the clones, has him executed, but the surviving Borden comes, kills Angier, and reveals the truth, ending the rivalry, rescuing Borden's daughter. And then the film closes showing rows of tanks of drowned copies of Angier, and it's that really sunk home for me. It's that's a pretty dark ending in my opinion. What worked well in this film, I would say the quality is super high, acting, set, camera work. Nolan respects the viewer and kind of just sets you up. It's not a big action flick with just carnage everywhere. Jackson and Bale are just insane in this. Their rivalry is so authentic. The themes are very important: obsession, sacrifice, secrecy, just rivalry as well, because they just want to beat each other so bad, especially after Angier's wife died. The hatred between them is really insane, to be fair. Yeah, so the personal hatred and desire to beat a certain person, in this case Angier, I would say, towards Borden, derails his entire life. Underneath it all, there is a begrudging respect for their skills as showmen and magicians. And in hindsight, Fallon, you can see Fallon's Christian Bale, but during watching it, I never thought that. I can be quite gullible upon a first watch. You're kind of wondering who's a silent character. And in terms of the first scene, Cutter, who's kind of their stagehand, who's played by Michael Caine, who's also amazing, kind of explains the movie. 3 steps to a traditional magic trick: the pledge, the turn, and the prestige. And basically, once you watch it, you realize he's talking about the entire film. The pledge, the turn, and prestige, because the pledge is kind of, and the turn are kind of throughout the whole movie, and then the final scene is the prestige, that you realize you've just been tricked. Which, as a watcher, when I watched this, I knew nothing about this. I just kind of started randomly watching it, and I actually loved it so much. The first scene, we see all these hats, which is another giveaway. Again, when I watched it, I was like, okay, I don't know what this is, but I'll just wait for the real scene to start. But obviously that's so important for the film. Nolan kind of keeps the 3-point structure in mind. He writes a story with those 3, pledge, turn, and prestige, as pillars, as foundational pieces. And I've only seen this film once. I'll definitely have to rewatch it because I love it. Really, when I saw it, I was blown away. I was like, why is this film not talked about as up there with one of the best? And like, no, in terms of Nolan's filmography, it's up there. I've seen a lot of Nolan's films, and it's up there for me. So yeah, it isn't perfect. But I mean, these are kind of subjective. It's an amazing film. Like, the ending's a little shocking. I found it a little shockingly dark. It's not really a downside, that's just a story. I was a little confused by the timeline. I was like, Angie dies, you see Angie die, and then it's revealed, goes back to the start. So you kind of need to be locked in mentally. Like, it's not an easy watch, I wouldn't say it is. You have to be locked in, thinking what's going on here. And again, that's typical Christopher Nolan. He respects the viewer's intelligence. He expects you to figure it all out. Like, that's kind of how Nolan works with his films. He's like, here's my complicated plot. You can watch this thing multiple times, but I'm not going to give you loads of exposition. That's how Christopher Nolan works. So we'll just go down through the key characters in a bit more detail. So Angier is actually kind of an English, kind of part of the upper class, I would say. He's got a title. He pretends to be American named Angier, as a stage kind of personality, because he doesn't want to embarrass his esteemed family. So basically what happened is the Borden twins, one is doing the thing for Angie's wife, and he kind of forgets the knot, and Angie's wife ends up dying. Angie asks Borden what not you to do. One of the Borden's like, I don't know, because he wasn't the one who did it. And Angie is just like completely frazzled. And from this point on, he just wants to destroy Borden. Like, he just hates him because he doesn't understand. He knows he didn't murder his wife, but he's just like, what the hell is going on here? And then another key point for this film is the transported man is one of the most important things in this film. Angie sees Borden performing the successful transported man, because this is the twin, obviously. Angie is completely so jealous. He hires a double. He's basically just a drunk. He works with the double, but he ends up having to hide underneath the stage, which is not what he wants. Angie wants all the glory, was reveling in the direction of the crowd. And yeah, he's not really 100% satisfied, because he wants to be up there having performed it successfully, and it's literally driving him bananas that Borden is doing this, and he can't. As for Borden, there's 2 different brothers. Obviously they have different personalities. One loves Sarah and one loves Scarlett Johansson's character. And kind of Sarah noticed that there's some dialogue. She noticed when the Borden that loves her is there and the Borden that isn't loves her is there, and she noticed how they act. That's kind of an early hint that she's kind of thinking, what the hell's going on here? And eventually she can't take it anymore and ends up taking her own life, basically, because she just can't really understand what's going on here. And then, so a key scene for me is when they kind of see an old Chinese guy hobbling out early on, and they're kind of just discussing what's going on. And then it's really like they just theorize correctly that this Chinese guy just hobbling out is part of the act. It's like, how is this old man doing extraordinary physical things? And it turns out his hobbling thing's just an act, and he's really fit and able to do all these tricks. That's a sacrifice. And also, when Borden says this, he knows all about sacrifice, because him and his twin literally have sacrificed everything to become successful musicians with the fan trick, like everything else. Since early on, since they entered the world of magic, they don't, every other facet of their life is just dedicated towards being successful and kind of impressing the public, basically. So Michael Caine is Cutter, kind of stage assistant for our big two characters. He kind of watches how they change and unravel throughout the flick, and he's just kind of there to watch it all, and he's a front row seat for the rivalry. Julia is Andrzej's first wife, and yeah, I referred to her death. One of the Bordens tied the wrong knot, and that kind of leads to the rivalry. Olivia is Scarlett Johansson's character. She becomes the love interest of one of the other Bordens, and Sarah is the mother of Borden's child. And yeah, so each of them loves one of those women, which ends up probably driving Sarah to take her own life, which is one of a pretty tragic side to the film also. And Tesla is also a very important real life historical figure, obviously, and it's interesting, it mentions his battle against Thomas Edison in that kind of historical period, but kind of trying to get to the top of their industries, kind of electricity. I know Edison made the light bulb, this kind of world, that kind of, whatever the exact word for the industry is of lighting and all this electricity. There's a big time rivalry between those guys, and David Bowie's really good in it. Like he's obviously just an amazing talent in the world of entertainment. As you know, he's a hugely successful musician, world famous. And yeah, Tesla's an interesting character, just an adds, it's another parallel between Borden and Andrzej, is this Tesla and Edison thing. So yeah, the deep dive, I will go into the spoilers just once again. So for the final act, the thing that got me is there's that one twist but two. You have the twist that Borden is twins, and that Andrzej has the cloning thing worked. Cause it's weird. Cause when you watch it, you're like, oh, that happened. Then the other twist happened, and you're like, wow. That's when I was blown away. I was like, this film is absolutely fantastic. And the rivalry between both men led them both to dark places, but I think Andrzej, like, he just went off the rails completely. Because every time he did the Transport of Man with Tesla's duplication thing, he knew he could be the one that was drowning. He literally, every time he did that, he was willing to put that on the line just to one-up Borden. That's how much he wanted to beat Borden. It really was all-consuming. So kind of just link back. But overall review, amazing. I think if you love Christopher Nolan, haven't seen this, must watch instantly. Stop what you're doing, watch it. If you're driving, pull over and watch it. I don't care. It's amazing. And I've only seen this once, but a rewatch seems almost essential, because I'll be able to pick up on all the clues, see the kind of the trails Nolan has left for us. And yeah, the ending is really dark. It kind of illustrates the depths Andrzej went to, and how Borden kind of used his trick to destroy Andrzej, and he knew it all along. That's another thing with Borden, is he didn't care. He enjoyed, even though no one knew his secret, he enjoyed having the secret. He was comfortable with him and his twin, that he was on top. And yeah, The Prestige, I don't know, is there any film that's 10 out of 10, but The Prestige comes very, very close. So bravo, Christopher Nolan. Just an absolute artist, fantastic director. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.